You're listening to BYU-Idaho Radio. I'm Nathan Lenahan, and today I'm here with Dean and Kristen Coleman. They're the founders of the SAFE Initiative. Guys, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
So before we get into the SAFE Initiative and the workshop and all the stuff you guys have been doing, could you guys just give us a little bit of background on yourselves?
Absolutely. So we moved to the Rexburg area about 6 years ago from the Washington, D.C. metro area, where most of my career was and where we raised our family for about 20 years. And here in the Rexburg area, I'm very fortunate to teach at BYU-Idaho in the business management department.
And I'm there with him.
Nice.
I'm the mom.
And so what is the SAFE Initiative?
Well, first let me explain what the acronym means. It's Safety, Awareness, Freedom through Education. And so what we've done is taken a cross-section of professionals here in the area where we look at some of the best training that they have received professionally, and we scale it down. We look at the risks that our community is facing, and then we look at how do we scale those trainings down and get the most important things that community members need to know, and we bring it to them in workshops free of charge.
And what was your guys' inspiration for starting this program and getting it going in the community?
You know, as we moved here to the area and have gotten to know so many people and been very, very fortunate to make such great connections and learn a lot about the community. I was involved in working for the intelligence community in the D.C. metro area for the majority of my career. And so understanding some of the threats that we face as a nation and as families, we became aware of some of the awesome things in the community as well as some of the challenges that our families and our children face. And that became very important to us to work to address that. So we began talking within our own network of friends and family, and that's where the genesis of the organization came in beginning a community-based, volunteer-led team of people from a cross-section of expertise. We have law enforcement engaged. Chief Josh Rhodes with the Rexburg Police Department is personally involved in working with our committee, as well as his Internet Crimes Against Children expert, Eric Wheeler. We have the Sheriff's Department, the County Sheriff's Office, ICAC representative as well, Christian Teague, who is involved, as well as therapists and physicians, clinicians, educators, and a cross-section of people all on a volunteer basis that are involved working with us.
And so what kind of topics and things do you guys cover in these workshops?
The first workshop, our kind of kickoff to get our feet wet and learn from the event, from the experience, was focused on digital safety, family protection through digital safety. And so what does that mean? That's looking at a lot of the attack vectors or risks, threats that face families and children at school and in their own homes through social media, through internet, and the different sources and media that are consumed and that pose that provide a lot of education and can do a lot of good, but that also can pose significant threats and risks to children and teens, potential threats of exploitation and so forth. And so that's one of the big areas of focus that one of our committees is dedicated to addressing.
That's probably something we should explain, too, that within this task force, there are a couple of different committees that focus on specific risks. The one that I'm involved with is the Life Skills Committee. So we are preventative type of committee where we look at what are the ages, how young can we start discussing some of these things and hopefully mitigate some of these risks and vulnerabilities. Dean's team that he works on deals a lot with exploitation and trafficking, assault, anything in kind of that realm. We meet together collectively to talk about which, what we're focusing on in our committees. But this first one, because it is such a huge thing, not just in Rexburg or Eastern Idaho, it is a national issue. And I think sometimes in smaller towns, and we love the people here, they're lovely, but a lot of times you don't think some of these issues are happening in your town. So awareness is huge. Education is huge. So there's the group that kind of deals with what happens in the case of, and then the other group that's let's try and prevent a lot of these things from happening through education and making sure parents and students have the tools that they need to understand the threats and risks that truly are facing them.
And how has the community involvement been? You just had this first workshop. How was the turnout and how did it go?
That's a great question. Let me answer it in two parts. The engagement from the community and our leaders was phenomenal. We had the mayor in attendance. We had the county sheriff, the Rexburg police chief, and the ICAC representatives from the county and the city and other law enforcement.
And people from different agencies.
People from different agencies, educators that were there, and good cross-section of representation. The attendance was lower than we had hoped, despite having been featured on Local News 8 and also East Idaho News leading up to the event. And we are meeting this coming Wednesday to discuss and debrief about the event, what worked well, what can we do differently, and how can we better reach the community and engage them in a way that will inspire them to attend. We're grateful for those that were in attendance, but we want to reach a lot more parents. And I would say that we really want to reach parents who maybe feel like they've got things on lock, because we might just be able to help them learn some things that can benefit them, and help them understand some ways that perhaps their children are being reached by forces and influences that they would be surprised to know that their children are still being reached, despite having internet safety rules in their home and maybe rules for devices and so forth, but ways that their children are still being reached.
I like what Dean just said. Our tactic isn't to freak people out and just make it to where you can't sleep at night. But what he just said, in our focus is to talk to families that probably already have rules and things in place. Something that I think really surprised people in this last meeting is there kept being questions. Is this happening in Rexburg? Is this happening here? When you have law enforcement, and specifically the type of law enforcement that was represented that evening, it was they said yes to everything. And I think that really took people off guard. And so it's educating everybody, whether you feel like you have things in place or not. Let's do it together as a community.
And that's important to note, that in addition to the heads of, county and local law enforcement and the ICAC representatives, we did have Lieutenant Dustin Hershey there, who is over all of the school resource officers. So he was able to speak to, this is what we're encountering in the schools. We run into these issues with devices weekly, if not daily, of issues related to sharing of pictures, sextortion types of situations that they encounter, exploitation issues that many minors don't understand is a
against
crime.
The law, right.
And
these are good kids.
Yeah, good kids that
these
are
running really
into this.
Good kids. They come from good families. They don't know what they don't know. And that is another really important part of this task force. It is to help parents and teachers know what they should be asking for. If you don't work in this space, you really wouldn't know. 7-8 years ago, I don't think I would have known. Dean probably would have. I wouldn't have even known the right questions to be asking. And now with AI development, that's so far, it's already so far ahead of us without some of the safeguards. We're seeing now, hearings on the Hill around those topics, but just to keep up with some of this stuff, we will have to be looking at the sophisticated algorithms, what perpetrators are doing. Those tactics change frequently. That's why community engagement is so important to understand how it evolves.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense with how much everything changes, how frequently technology advances. It can just be super hard to keep up, I imagine.
Exactly. And I always say we have to match the tenacity and energy that they have to harm. They're not worried about how things are landing. Sometimes, we've been told that the messaging needs to maybe be a little more gentler in this community. And we've thought about that and gone back and forth on it. And I think we've come to a conclusion that we want to refute that because perpetrators, they're not worried about it. So we've got to have stronger language. In this next meeting, we will be showing more cases, what is really happening in this area to make sure people know that it's not in some other state, it's not international, although it is. It's happening everywhere. The internet reaches everyone. But we want to make sure they understand it is significant and it's here.
And so you said the next workshop, when's this next one happening?
The date has not been set yet. I would suggest that people follow us on our Instagram, which the full name of the organization is Upper Valley Safe Initiative, and that is our Instagram handle as well, Upper Valley Safe Initiative, and we will post that on that date. But the date of that event, but we are looking at the April timeframe for our next follow-up event.
And this last workshop seems like you focused a lot on online and digital issues. Is that all that this initiative is limited to, or what other topics do you guys plan on covering in future workshops?
Well, it's going to kind of be a do-over from this last one. I think that's what Dean had talked about. This next meeting is going to be really looking at what landed well, what people were able to tolerate, and how we will present. I mean, this issue is not going away. It is one of the most serious because it bleeds into trafficking, exploitation, all those different areas. So you can't talk about it too much. But this life skills instruction, if you are an educator or if you have a child, you need to be talking to your schools about the program that we actually start this Friday in different schools. We can kind of cater it to what is the time limit that a school might have. It was kind of designed to be for after school, but we are doing this during the day, the school that's going to have us come. It talks about specifically all the areas that a child needs to be safe and how you do that and how you do it with interactive types of activities. Most importantly, how we get them connecting to each other and understanding the value of human connection. So the temptation for AI relationships and going down that rabbit hole, we can mitigate some of those dangers. So that starts this Friday. That is going to be a significant one because, like I said, prevention is paramount to the success of all of this. So that will be rolling out. We already have schools that are signing up. And like I said, if you are a parent with a child in elementary school, if you are a teacher or administrator, we want to hear from you. It is free of charge. And the people that are training it are phenomenal. Some of them are already teaching in the school district or volunteering their time. So it doesn't pull anything from your school funding, your PTO money. We want to do this as a service because we understand how serious the risk is for our kids.
And the next workshop that we will have in the April timeframe, which will be here before you know it, we're going to have, again, our local law enforcement who can speak to some of the specific cases and examples of things that our kids are facing in the schools and at home. We're going to have Tim Rarick be our keynote again. And Tim Rarick is a professor and program director of marriage and family studies here at BYU-Idaho and the former chair of the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare Board. Just such a wealth of knowledge and qualifications. And then Ryan Washington, who is a resource in our community, who worked for many years for the FBI and the intelligence community, as an expert witness, computer forensics, and cybersecurity expert, and has trained around the world on topics of digital safety.
And it's just cool we have that in Rexburg.
Yeah, it's impressive the amount of professionals and stuff that you guys have involved in this program.
Some people ask why they wanted it streamed, which I totally get that. It was really interesting, and I actually really love this and commend law enforcement. They wanted to not stream it this first time. I don't know what they'll do moving forward, but they wanted people to ask them face-to-face questions and follow-up, which is kind of unheard of. We have a very unique Chief Rhodes. I can't even say enough good things about our law
Such
enforcement.
A good man,
oh
very
my gosh.
accessible.
But the fact they wanted to be there to answer the community's questions real time is huge. And so that was one of the reasons that it wasn't streamed this first round.
Right. And looking forward, what goals and hopes do you have for this program, for this initiative?
I want every family to feel confident that they have the tools to navigate whatever risk or danger confronts them. I want every child, regardless of the home environment they go home to have the tools to keep themselves safe or to know how to report to a safe adult when they're not, so that we can bring health and healing to every member of our community.
I would add that we are, we hear often that we're at war, that our homes and our children are under attack. Well, that is the truth. And we want parents and children, teens and others to feel equipped with the tools and knowledge that they need, and to feel hopeful that they can win in the war and in the daily battles that they face. And we want to help arm them and equip them with the knowledge and tools that they need to be successful.
We've kind of said this so many times, and I think you probably would relate to this. You don't have to go too far or look at too much to feel kind of a heaviness about the current state of our country, where things are heading, the different problems. And when we talk to people, you sense that, and people are deeply concerned. And that's why the Upper Valley Safe Initiative, it isn't to put people in a panic and to freak them out to where they're stewing about things. It's to inspire and engage, because when people get engaged, they do feel empowered. You have to be proactive, and it really does dissipate a lot of the fear and anxiety around a lot of these topics. And so we're inviting our community to join us, to get involved so that we feel empowered.
Kristen, Dean, thank you guys so much for coming in and just informing us about this program and everything that's going on with it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.